Miriam Joy, and welcome to my studio. Today I wanted to show you how to use crafty sand to cover the inside of your gourd. You also can use it on the outside to make fun projects, and we'll hope to get some videos for you on that. But today we wanted to show you how you can use it to cover the inside of a gourd to just give it that nice clean look and to give it some color. When working with the sand on the inside of the gourd, I usually like to use a background color because the inside should not be your main focus. I wanted to do this one here, and this is one I really love, and I've been saving it for a while. And so the color I'm going to take is my purple on here, and I just kind of set it in there to see how it looks. There's also lots of different colors. There's kind of a gold color that's more the natural color of the gourd too, if you wanted to. Before we start the inside of our gourd, the first thing you want to do is, I always do my design. You may want to do it differently because I don't want to hold it as I'm working on the outside. So I completely finish my design and varnish it. So if I happen to get anything or paint on it, I can just simply wipe it off. I wanted to show you that we're going to paint the inside so that the color from underneath doesn't show through. This one was not painted inside, and you can see the color come through from the inside. So that's the reason that we're going to use the acrylic paint to paint the inside. Now this guy is nice and thick gourd, so I'm not really worried about cracking him as much. But if you have a very thin gourd, and I've noticed especially if they're from a really dry area, more so from like the west, you have to be very careful when putting on your acrylic paint. You don't want to use any water because the water will absorb into the creases that are in the gourd naturally and will expand and will crack your gourd. And that's the example that we have here. So what you want to do is just take the color that is similar to your sand, and if you can do spray paint or have spray paint, that is awesome because it doesn't have that wetness and that doesn't happen with. But if you don't, just take your acrylic paint, paint the inside. Don't use any water in that if it's thinner, and then we'll show you how to go ahead and apply that sand. I'm going to be using Mod Podge to put on my sand with, and this is just the regular Mod Podge. There's so many out there right now. So this is the sealer, glue, finisher. I have matte, but for this part it really doesn't matter if it's matte, satin, or gloss because you're using it as a glue and the sand is going over the top of that. I am going to be varnishing it afterwards just to help it in place a little bit better, and for that I don't want it as shiny as my outside, so I'm going to use like a matte or satin for that at the most. So that's something to think about when you're working with Mod Podge. This doesn't matter as much, but you normally want to roll it, not to shake it, that way you don't get the bubbles. So we're going to pull it off here, and I'm going to pour it into a container because I'm using it out of my gourd, and it's a little bit more dirty and contained, so I don't want that in there in my Mod Podge bottle. So that's why we're doing it that way. Now if yours was really thick, depending on the thickness of your gourd, you could add a tiny bit of water, but you want to be very careful when doing that so that it doesn't split your gourd or crack it. We've already got the paint inside, so that should help with one layer, holding that a little bit in place. Now I am just going to wet my brush just to get the absorbent out of there as much. And then we're going to start to put this on the inside. And I try to do it all at one time, but you may find that yours is a little bit dry. If you're starting to dry it out, I just keep going back over it. But if your gourd is bigger, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, you may want to stop and do an area at a time. Again, if you need just a dab of water, but again, I really caution you with the water because you don't want to split your gourd. And we're just going to continue to apply that all the way around. And then I'm also going to apply it up to the rim, but not on the rim. So we're bringing it all the way up to right here, and then we're going to finish that all the way around. I've got this all the way around. I'm just kind of noticing if there's any area where it's not kind of sticking to. We want to just come in there and touch it up just a little bit. Now the sand you can find at miriamjoy.com. We're trying to add new colors as we go, so if there's a color you want, let us know. And they come in 5-ounce bags, a little bit over 5 ounces. And I just shake them straight into my gourd. And this is a glitter container catcher. And if you don't have that, use a piece of paper and just fold it in half. And I am just going to start putting this in here and shaking it around. And then what I find out works best for me is just shake it to these edges and actually fall off the edge a little bit and just keep on coming. And the sand really does go a long ways, and it's also going to help strengthen that gourd up a little bit as well. Another thing that you can use if you have a gourd that cracks to help strengthen, or have a real thin gourd and you don't want it to crack, is use Mod Podge paper on the inside. I've got to do a video on that as well. But that will help strengthen your gourd. So those are some ideas. But see, because of the background color, this is covering all nice and neat. And we're almost done already. And this doesn't take very long to do at all. I've really, not kidding, have done this probably in less than 5 minutes. Okay, we are done. If there's any area that it hasn't applied to, you can touch it with a brush, your Mod Podge, and then just go back and put that in there. But isn't that a nice, neat coat? Especially if you're entering your gourds in competitions and stuff like that. But see, our glue over here, it doesn't show up at all. You also could have gone over, after we put that first one down, we could have put a second one over the top, which would probably been a good idea, especially with the sand, because we were going to cover that. So you don't see that at all from that side, and very, very little from this side. But it makes a nice, clean coat, especially for judging. That's something they look for, is how you finish the inside of your gourds as well. So we're going to simply let this dry. Once it's dry, we're just going to spray or varnish. Make sure you get up all the way underneath. I did 2 coats. You don't necessarily have to. You just want to be careful because this is a different I have satin on this, and if I was spraying matte, or if I had gloss on this and matte on the inside, you wouldn't want it to spray over. If you did, then you may want to go and do one more on the outside when it's completely done. But isn't that nice and wonderful? I wanted to show you, this is after I did the gourd, and it's almost as full as when we started. So this goes a long, long way. So you're not going to use up a lot of it, and it's just goes a long way. Just wanted to show you that. And isn't that just gorgeous? I really, really like that. Some of the great colors like we talked about are like black, which is a background color, and then you could just use your 98-cent Walmart spray paint and put that directly in there, and then you would be done. It'd be a quick and easy one to do. So make sure you come on over to miriamjoy.com and get yours today. You always can ask us any questions at art@miriamjoy.com. Thank you and God bless.